Noah is most famous for building an ark, right? The animals will come two by two. He builds a big boat in the middle of nowhere. The story has a lot more to it than just that. One of the things about Noah that I find fascinating is that God considers him to be particularly righteous amongst his generation. So when God says, I'm going to wipe it out, we're going to start over, he identifies Noah as importantly righteous, as good. So Noah obeys God's rule. He follows God. He does what he's supposed to. He actually goes and does this big sacrifice at an altar. But then, and this is why I love it, he gets blackout drunk. And this creates a whole problem. And then he winds up cursing his own children. These characters in the Bible are layered. They're complicated. They follow God one day. They offer sacrifices. They do what he's asking, even if it seems ridiculous. And then they do stuff like ask their wives to pretend they're not married to them. They curse their own children. They sleep with prostitutes. Christians have a bad reputation at times for being self-righteous, for looking down on others, for being judgmental. I suggest that we each spend some time reading our Old Testaments, reading them carefully to understand the nuance, the complexity of the characters. My favorite characters on TV shows and movies are the ones that have the good and the bad in them. We all know the black-white character, the totally good or the totally bad, is a caricature. The interesting elements of life come when we recognize the gray. We recognize that the person capable of being a loving husband is also capable of being a terrible, terrible boss. The woman capable of being a wonderful employee and a wonderful boss is totally capable of being a harsh parent. Whatever the dichotomy is, the point is there are dichotomies. And it's worth recognizing them. As Christians, we can repent, we can thank God for grace, we can ask to be able to overcome and to change these ways. But what we can't do is become particularly harsh or judgmental when it comes to others. They're struggling with whatever their struggle is, just as we struggle with whatever our struggle is. It's a call for patience, for loving one another, for accepting one another the way we need to be accepted too. So if you're reading your Old Testament these days, and you're reading the newspaper or watching the news, I suggest you take a moment and try to fit the pieces together. Notice the layers of complexity in most characters in the news, just as there are in most characters in the Bible. It's an interesting practice.